This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your sunrise safari of today, where we may actually see some sun. There's a potential of blue skies and that ball of gas making an appearance, which is very, very exciting. But we do have a beautiful scenario for you in front of us. We are sitting at the hyena den, but sadly it's empty. I'm afraid no hyenas. My heart is breaking. But I'm sure across all the different locations that we will be coming to you from in South Africa, there will be much excitement. So that means get ready, everyone. It's time for your live safari through the African bush. So welcome aboard. It's an absolute pleasure to have you all on the back of my safari vehicle and, of course, other safari vehicles today as well. And it's not raining. I am overjoyed that it's not raining, but I hope I don't speak too soon. Because the clouds over there are looking slightly dark and grey. My name is Lauren. I do have Mpo on camera today, and as I already mentioned, I'm devastated. The hyena den is not active. But as many of you are aware, because you're here, there has been a time change. So we've started a little bit later. It's 6:30 here in South Africa, and I think that's just a little bit too late for the hyenas, to be honest. Although it's cold, on colder days you do have promise of the hyena den being active, but sadly today that is not the case. So we are going to bumble and check on Kuchava again and see if that beautiful leopardess and her son are still on the kill on Gowrie Main. So of course, before I forget, this is your live safari. Please do talk to us. Send in all your wonderful questions and your even more wonderful comments. And how do you do that? Well, there's multiple options. You can use the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter if you like to tweet. I don't know why I said it like that. I do not tweet. I do not know how it is to tweet. However, you can. Or you can use the @FC, which stands for @FinalControl, on the YouTube chat. Or you can head over to the WildEarth website. You can register there and submit your questions. So there's many different options for you. And of course, if you are under 18, kids, please do talk to us. We love your questions the most. Just don't tell the adults that. And you email them to us, and it's kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. So you have a huge range of options for the way to talk to us today. See that, Mpo? That, my friend, is blue sky. I don't know if you can all see it because we do have a rain roof on, but it is blue sky, and we're heading in that direction, so it's very, very promising. I hope this afternoon we will get lucky with the hyenas. I don't like it when I come back and, of course, I'm not able to catch up with the Djuma clan. It makes me very, very sad. But hopefully Kuchava will be there. Now, it was an Ngala, juvenile Ngala that they caught, I believe, and of course they hoisted it yesterday, or the sun hoisted it up a marula tree. So there's definitely a potential that they might still be there. Fingers crossed. Okay, as I bumble into the realm of blue sky, we're going to send you across to take a look at the weather from all the locations.
Good morning everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve this morning. Sitting here at the Gowrie Dam and looking at a Ngala. It's feeding about, and looks like it's only one male, usually where they separate from the females, all get around as a bunch of group of male together. Hi, my name's Andrew. I have Dav on camera this morning, so we decide to come right in this position. Also was a baboon calling about in this area, so we decided to come and check what could be about, what would be their calling like that, because sometimes they do warn if there's a danger around them, but they're all just now quiet again. So they all went quiet, but if there is something, they would probably get going again. That's why when you look at that antelope, we know for sure that cats would pretty much interested on hunting antelope if there is a cat around here. But also it's been a long night. Where was a male lion that was rolling last night, and we just saw the tracks around quarantine, so it looks like he was moving to the north, probably trying to reach the whole pride that was moving, or we saw yesterday. The guy saw this yesterday morning. They were moving across into Manyeleti there. Maybe he's going to catch up with them. So we're going to go follow up on that track, see if we get lucky. Since in this area it's all just went quiet, but we're going to keep an eye also if there's something that we just miss or baboon couldn't see it clearly as we drive off. Danny, so you say you love the sound of the beautiful morning. Indeed, it is. Hearing all the sound of birds, and looks like it's going to be a beautiful day though. From the east you see all of a golden cloud is burning up. Maybe the sun will pop out soon. And there is a lot of birds that was calling about, so sometimes there is it's a little bit of when it's about to be hot or sun come out, a lot of birds will be singing about, and then eventually when the rain stop and the birds were able to do their activity around, fly around hunting for their own insects and things. So he's asking which birds that you always hear in the morning. So crested francolins, most of the francolins as well, they do communicate first things in the morning. They make a call, and since they sleep different places, for them to be able to communicate whether everybody's still alright, everybody awake, and you all hear them calling first thing in the morning. Southern ground hornbill, if they're around, also they're more likely to call and in the morning as well. Well, there's been a lot of drizzling last night that was happening, so it's going to be easy for us to establish or see the clear tracks. So while we're checking those roads, let me send you over across to Lauren to say hi or to give us an update. Alright, so that's cool. Well, it's easily to see the tracks, as I was saying, because of the rain that we had or drizzling that was happening last night. So if it's ever tracks that moved not long ago, you're able to see it clearly, that animal, and then you sure, or very much sure that animal didn't move far, or it's got to be around because the tracks are all fresh. You know, those leopards as a cat, they were more likely to be moving along the road, avoiding getting wet, maybe sitting up on a mound or on a tree as well when the grass is wet. So let's continue again. I'm going to be sending you across to Lauren.
Update, I am on my way down south, and I just want to check my favorite pan on Djuma. How is this, Simpo? Can you work with this? It's very quiet, I must say, compared to what it normally sounds like. Now, this is the little pan that's south of Twin Dams. It's actually the twin of Twin Dams. I mean, twin means two, as I definitely know. My brother just had twins. Woo! There's definitely two. But this tree that we're looking at here is normally alive, buzzing with weavers. But of course, it's very early in the morning, and it's still cold. But as we progress into winter, this entire pan is going to change quite dramatically. And I have to say, I've got a heavy heart thinking about winter. One, I really don't like the cold. But two, everything's going to change. We're going to lose so many migrant species. The insects are going to disappear. A lot of things will change. But I do believe we'll still retain a lot of water. I think the dams, maybe not so much pans like this, but dams will definitely hold on to their water. That's for sure. It's not going to be a dry winter, but the vegetation will start to change. The evergreen trees, of course, they will hold on to their leaves, but a lot of the other vegetation will just start to die off. The entire color of the landscape will change. It will become very monotonous, very sort of yellowy, a really dry, barren color. So I am actually looking forward to seeing what this winter brings, but I also do have a heavy heart. All of the migrant species that you see, the kingfishers, the cuckoos, they will slowly, one by one, start to disappear. And then the cycle begins. We have to wait for next summer again. but this pan definitely has not woken up just yet. Okay, so we're still going to head to the site of Kuchava. Hopefully she's there, but we're going to send you guys across to Basani to say good morning.
Welcome to Phinda and Beyond, everyone. We have found just some zebras and wildebeest at the background, and there's some impalas, and there were some warthogs here earlier on. But have a look where these zebras are. Hello, everyone. My name is Busane, and behind the camera we've got Craig, and these zebras, they're in a long grass, which is they will be quite vulnerable to lions. So this morning the plans is to find the pride of lion around this area. But with them, the reason why they all like together today, it's like safety in numbers with wildebeest, warthogs, and some impalas. So, wow. In some places, you can't even see the whole body of an animal. You can just see those wildebeest, only the half of their body. So probably they just waken up not too long ago, and now they're busy grazing along. And really, it's a nice morning. Oh, it's a very beautiful morning today. And it seems like it's going to be a nice hot day as well. So we're going to have to try to cover some ground before the sun starts to get really hot. Because in the hot part of the day, the predators, like lions, they will go into the nice shady spot. And as you can see how tall is the grass around here, if they do decide to go into the nice shady spot, it will be very tough for us to find them. It's unbelievable in the last few days. And Nunu, the zebras are very fast. That is why predators like lions, they have to stalk right up close to the zebra before they accelerate or chase the zebra. So I'm not 100% sure how fast they can run up to, but they're really fast. But obviously with the impalas here, impalas will be a lot quicker than the zebras. Wow, it's a very nice area. I was going to say that in the last few weeks, the grass level in this area, it was a lot shorter than what it is now. And because of the amount of rain that we had like in a few weeks ago, and the grass level does grow very quickly in this area because of the type of soil that we find here, which is known as a black cotton soil. So I think from here we're gonna start trying to find ourselves some lions. Yeah, Joy. The grass in winter, it will be almost the same as what it is right now, unless if we do like late in summertime, the grass level will then start to get a little bit shorter. So in this area, normally the grass level in winter time it will stay exactly the same. As you can see how tall it is right now. So, but in some other areas, because in other areas there's lots of termites that feed on the grass, does cut the grass a lot shorter, so it does open it up a little bit. So normally in this area, it will stay exactly the same. That is why I think it's also because there's not a lot of animals that graze the area. So we do try to control the capacity of the animals in the game reserve. So we'll know exactly the number. We'll keep the number in the right place. Because what happens is that if we don't control that number, so the animals do tend to overgraze the particular area, which is the bad thing, because you may run out of grass, then you have to step in about moving the animals to the different areas. But here, because we're quite a big game reserve as well, and the animals, they're not squashed. I think these wildebeest and zebras and impalas here, they're gonna be here for quite some time. As soon as the sun does get a little bit hotter, they're not too far away from the nearest water hole, so they might go there and have a morning drink of water. I think while they're busy enjoying the grass, we're gonna leave them and carry on with our lounge sage.
It's the month of March and WildEarth is offering you the chance to win a brand new prize. Sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer and you could win a 5-day eco-training ranger experience for 2. Eco-training is the pioneer and leader in safari guide and wildlife training in Africa. The lucky winners can look forward to approaching dangerous game on foot, tracking and 4x4 driving, learning about animal behavior, and even spending one night sleeping out under a blanket of stars. In addition, you will also get the exclusive opportunity to join the WildEarth team on the broadcasting vehicle. Sign up to be an explorer now, and it could be you that wins this life-changing experience. Terms and conditions apply.
What are you looking at, man? That's its gangster face. It has the manners of a common variety vagabond. Look at it, chewing with its mouth open like that.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at WildEarth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you're going to have to register on the website, but once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Great, so we now have, looks like the whole group of impalas, or a rank of impalas, the whole group, right on the road. There's been quite a lot of birds about come out because the rain slightly stopped. And it's always good as impala to make sure that they start the day in the open patch. Safety comes first. And they don't look frightened at all, so they're all good, chill around. It was the one male that was pushing them up and down. So we're going to go closer look at them. So if you're only asking why these impalas out guiding into the weather. So impala, we understand that they remain in a group, but being in a group, there's a lot of chance for them to help each other, look out for survival. But, you know, there is a time sometimes they move into a thicket where when they do that also, they're going to be make sure that there is no or anything disturb them. The impala also the one of the success animal out in the bush. Building group up, applied a lot of a chance of survive. They do feel colder sometimes when it's colder. When they group up, it's all about combined for a warm at the same time for a safety. But it's getting slightly clear up. And they will be more active once it's all done. So at night, what they do, they all just make sure they group around. It's got to be open enough at night when they do that. Everybody look different position. And that's how they work together. That's why they're out about. But now it's all about now they have to choose where they're going to go for a grazing. So, sorry, can you repeat that question again? So, Yamek, I'm not sure if I understand your question well then. So, were you asking if they do move pretty much low into the ground naturally? Oh, they hoof naturally into the ground. So, they do. They actually well build up beautifully with these. If you look at their hoof, now they're in a thicket. But they they have this kind of like unique patch which is chuffed black, which is called multitazzled. They all play beautiful characters of all of them, but sometimes it also could that attract them. If it's any danger around here, they're actually easy to be tracked, because that tooth, it's actually rich in kind of secretion of oil. So I'm going to carry on, move around here to see if those tracks of line come back, or is any of tracks of line in this road. I'm going to be sending you across to Steve to say hi to everybody.
Good morning, and welcome to the dawn here on Eco Training Prrivate. We've managed to get all of our stuff up and running, and we found a wonderful herd of elephants here, busy dust bathing, and kicking up some dirt that's drying out, but still got a little bit of moisture to it as they throw it on their heads. Hello everybody, my name is Steve, joined by Gat on camera, and as always, very excited to have you with us. I hope you're ready for a bumper of a morning. Our plans were to head over towards that lioness and see if we can find her and her cubs again, but we weren't able to get connected until now, so now we find ourselves right down on the other side of Prrivate at some of the highest points. So for now, I'm just going to allow you to just enjoy this sort of quietish sort of scene here with this herd of elephants. This little one is being ridiculous. Yes, Linda, we all love to see elephants, don't we? Especially when they get ridiculous and lie down. Gat was asking me if I've met Susan yet. I said, I'm not really sure. I've met lots of elephants out here. It's always lovely when you get to spend time with them, doing their natural things. Youngsters learning how do you pick up dirt. The one on the left has decided this is way too boring for the morning. I'm just going to lie down.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari. Look at this fantastic find that we are spending time right now with. That is just so gorgeous. Look at that on a morning rise as we're literally having all of these little guys popping out. As I said to you last night on drive, as we found that wild colony of meerkats, this was our plan for the morning. And look at that, the Khosa group of meerkats, as we've just found them been coming up. So, I am Johan. I am your guide for this morning again in the Kalahari. And behind the camera is me. And we're going to be some beautiful time with these meerkats this morning, as we are going to be going out with them. And so I just want to clear the way a bit, as we're going to stand off the edge of the side of them here, and we're going to look at them as we stay out and about here. So slowly but surely, there's some of them that's been coming out and about, starting to just scout out and about for safety purposes and so on. So literally just scouting and seeing if any jack that be causing a potential threat to them. There's one that's coming up to the sunny position there at the moment, and just up to that spot where he's potentially going to come and shine or catch a bit of sunlight to warm up a bit in the sun as well. But nice to see this group of meerkats than the other group of the Rockstar group that you've been looking at over a long period of time. Now, the reason why we chose these meerkats this morning is because there's brand new babies that we I think it was about 2 weeks ago that we were broadcasting. And so finally we've heard the rumors that some of these pups have been coming out. So it'd be pretty great to actually see these pups coming arise. So that's the moment we are actually waiting for at this given point. Just so cool to be spending time with these guys over here. We're going to send you back over to Lauren with this gorgeous sighting, sending you over with an interesting grasshopper.
Very interesting, in the form of the elegant grasshopper. One of the larger ones we get out here. And for some reason, they always let me pick them up. Maybe they think I'm one of them. And if any of you were watching the sunset drive yesterday, we did a sort of riddle. Another one will be coming this afternoon. And we spoke a lot about the sort of classification and organization of organisms, taxonomy, why we classify, and humans love to put things in boxes, but really why it's necessary and how you actually start to understand how to group organisms together. And of course, insects belong to arthropoda, which is also the same as crabs and lobsters. It's a very, very big phylum with segmented bodies and an exoskeleton. So for an insect, their entire skeleton is on the outside. That's what you see. And inside, as unpleasant as it sounds, everything is just really sloshing around. You know that feeling when you jump up and down after having just drunk lots of water and you hear that sloshing in your tummy? That's basically what it's like inside an insect's body. And they don't have lungs like we do. They do not breathe through their mouth. They breathe through the tracheal system. So they have lots of little holes running down the side of their body, and that draws in oxygen, gas exchange through diffusion from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. And that's how they get oxygen into their body. So it's almost like lots of little straws running all the way down the sides of their body where they pull in oxygen. So therefore, their entire organ structure inside is different. And they don't have a blood circulation system, because they don't need that. If you think about it, we inhale oxygen and it goes into our bloodstream and it's pumped all around the body, delivering blood to all the different parts of our body. Now, because they don't breathe the same way that we do, they don't need to do that. But they do have a blood of sorts, and it's called hemolymph, and it's yellow because it doesn't contain iron. our sort of hemoglobin binds to iron, and our blood, as we know, is very, very red. That's not the case for insects. So that's why when you squash them or they end up on your windscreen, it doesn't look like a murder scene. It's yellow in colour. And everything is just sloshing around inside, protected by that really hard exoskeleton. So not only does it protect the organism in question, it also prevents dehydration. Dehydration is an insect's biggest fear. They do not want to dehydrate. I promise you this little guy's alive. Ah, there we go. Are you just listening to me, laughing at what nonsense I'm talking? I'm sure you are. But yes, I promise you he's alive. So protection from dehydration is very, very important. So it's not just a dry exoskeleton. The entire sort of body, including the antenna, the legs, the head, not the eyes, but everything else, is actually covered in a waxy substance. It's very, very waxy, almost like Vaseline, if you like. And this is also protecting from dehydration. But what that means is that it's going to become very, very difficult to grow. You're limited in this body that you're in because you've got a hard exoskeleton. How on earth do you grow? Well, that's why insects have to molt. They go through a molting phase where they shed their exoskeleton and they start to grow a new one. But they can't leave themselves vulnerable. They can't leave themselves in a position where they've shed their exoskeleton, but they haven't grown their new one yet. So they're just a very, very soft, malleable, juicy snack for any predator. So it has to happen at the same time, where the new sort of cuticle, the new layer is going to build up, and the old layer is slowly, slowly detaching from the body so that they can shed. And once they shed that exoskeleton, that means that they can grow. And that's how, of course, they get bigger and bigger. You're being so compliant this morning. I'm overjoyed. And you can see grasshoppers have a sort of really unique specialization that has evolved to allow them to be highly specialized. You can just see that back leg there, that hind leg, which is ridiculously large, especially compared to all their other legs. And they hold it tense. So they've got flexor muscles in there, and they're holding the muscles very, very tense. And it's only when they actually flex that muscle and relax that they're able to spring into the air. And although it looks like it's coming from their abdomen, all 6 legs are attached to the thorax, that transport center. Elton, one more time with that question, sorry. I love the antenna, orange and black. Duke, you're asking, do these grasshoppers... Okay, we've got a little bit of a traffic jam here. I'm going to have to move. I'm getting stared at from behind. Bear with me. Let's try and see if we can move with our grasshopper. No, these grasshoppers do not. But, of course, they're... Hold on. I'm trying not to ensure that I scare this little guy. I'm going to pull off to the side and let the other vehicle pass. There we go, you stayed with us. I went on a little journey with us. I've got my binos there just to hold this in place. And morning. And no, these grasshoppers do not, but they're in East Africa, especially when I was in Ethiopia, they had huge problems with really, really large aggregations of locusts, swarming locusts, and they were causing huge problems to the farmlands and the grasslands, and it was affecting a lot of people's livelihoods, but not these grasshoppers in particular. And when I was in Ethiopia, we actually witnessed this. It almost looked like we were up the Bali Mountains looking for the Ethiopian wolf, and it almost looked like really, really large snowflakes were just falling everywhere. And it was, in fact, these locusts swarming in such great numbers that they were destroying crops completely. And it was a huge problem in East Africa for quite some time. But it's not you guys, is it, Mr. Elegant? named after the gorgeous coloration. But of course, that's only to our human perspective that he's gorgeous. To a predator, that is not gorgeous, I can assure you. That is a warning. If you're a bird or a reptile or an amphibian, that is a big, massive warning sign saying, do not eat me. I am not palatable. I'm gorgeous, but not palatable. So I'm going to put this little grasshopper back, and for now, we're going to send you guys down to Tswalu.
Welcome back, folks. So, as you can see, our beautiful two posers has just come up to this sunny spot as they're just starting to sun themselves. We've had a family of jackals that suddenly just came past here, and having the jackal presence plus a whole flock of Stalk that came past just caught their attention quite a lot. So some of them has just moved off back towards the shaded spot of the burrow systems again on the back there. But yeah, looking at these guys, this is typically what would be happening first thing in the morning, where they will sun themselves, as you've seen it on previous broadcasts and so. But yeah, that beautiful darker bellies being faced towards the sun, just warming themselves up and getting them ready and started for the day. It's like the solar panel that starts up the engine for the early morning as they start scouting. And we're still awaiting on those little pups to come out and about. There's one more popping out of the burrow system now. A bit of nest maintenance happening there. As you know, they do all of their pooping and everything happens down in the burrow system at night. So it's just obviously just to avoid ectoparasites, as that one was just popping out of the edge of the burrow there, starting to clean and do a bit of house maintenance, sweeping the floors a bit of the house and everything like that. But yeah, stunning to start the morning with these tiny little characters just scouting over the area and figuring out what to do, what's next, what is safe. Rolling Rock, you asking how do the meerkats maintain their diversity and everything? And it's exactly that, and I hope I've actually understood the question right. But if you mean something to do with maintaining the population and looking at their safety out of that point of view, it's because of their teamwork strategies and structures that they work together in that hierarchy, that they look so well after each other in that formation of having a lot of them in the colony and trying to build up their population as much as possible, especially when the conditions are just this great. With the great amount of vegetation, it obviously means a lot of food supply. And so in that situation, they would try to not overpopulate, but you get what I'm trying to say, is basically where they try to make the population bigger and more eyes in the colony, the better and safer it is for them. And that is actually how they maintain the safety of the colony itself, as there's a lot of good eyes scouting out for trouble that could be potentially be coming. And in that conditions, it's fantastic actually scouting over the area and looking after each other. And I want to say like having each other's backs, because in this family unity, it's an extremely strong family structure. And yes, the biggest I've seen this particular colony getting up to numbers was about 25 in total right in the beginning. But obviously, as we've gone through 2 consecutive droughts in the last 5 to 6 years, it's been in that situation where we've had quite a bit of losses and drops in numbers. And speaking of which, there was just to the end of last year's winter, as you've seen that fantastic honey badger that Dylan had on the screen a couple of months ago, well, just as I said, around about September, October, that honey badger was raving on this colony at that time. Now, I mean, the meerkats could see, and they could see trouble coming from a long distance point of view as it is. But yeah, they get to a point where the honey badger, unfortunately, can get down into the burrows and can sweep the burrows and drop their numbers and population quite dramatically. So yes, they have taken a bit of an impact from honey badgers in this area, but as you can see, the population has just fantastically inclined again, as we're looking at the amount that is inclined to 9 of them in total with the pups. Well, it's actually with the pups extra added into, being 9 in total now. So yeah, incredible thinking about how they just combined up together as just inclining from, yes, at one stage there was about only 3 of them left in this colony, and suddenly it's just worked up again. So when you have these conditions in this great shape and situation, it is actually where you could have this alpha female, like, again, I'm using the word overpopulating. Just look at that quickly, at them Stalk coming over, as eagles and hawks and things like that is constantly problems for them flying through the area as they could hunt on them. Obviously the Adam Stalk is not going to hunt on them, but it's in a situation where they just, as it's a big bird flying past, just constantly concentrating at the condition situation, making sure that it's not an eagle or a hawk coming past to hunt on them. But yeah, very cool. Just looking at that quick reaction that just happened there, and as we speak, well, we just spoke about it in the situation of how they take care of each other. You could see it was like a Mexican wave, just constantly flowing through the entire colony as they all just looked at it immediately at that given point. But yeah, as I was saying, that alpha female she can literally mate right throughout the year if the conditions are this great as what it is now. And so yeah, the population will just keep on inclining in these conditions. And obviously, the bigger the population, the safer it all comes together. My apologies for not hearing the name of the person asking the question there. But yeah, the question was actually, do they sit on their tail? Yes, they actually make use of it as a tripod. So they're standing up on their 2 back legs, and the tail presses down on the ground like a proper tripod system. And being part of the mongoose family, they can, well, if you look at mongoose, they do exactly the same thing as they press that, like I want to say, half of the tail flat down on the surface, and then it comes down to where they stand up straight, keeping the balance in a great condition and shape in that formation. But yeah, that's actually what helps them out quite a lot, being able to scout out over the area from a safe point of view. As you can see, look at that one on the left-hand side, just tippy-toe trying to figure out animals coming over from the backside here as he's scouting back into the direction where those jackals were earlier on moving through. And as he looked back in that direction, meerkats, their sense of smell is great. So the thing is that they could have just possibly picked up on the scent of that family of jackals that might have moved through in the northern section. But yeah, truly fantastic to start the morning with these gorgeous little guys.
WildEarth is launching a brand new bushwalk from Pride Lands. With a slew of potential dangers lurking, it's essential to be aware of your surroundings whilst walking in the wilderness.
20 yards away from one of the most endangered species. This is a big bull.
What a moment, what a close encounter with an Ellie bull. He's just over here now. He's moved completely away.
Being on a bushwalk and seeing a leopard, I mean, it's ridiculous to be this close to a leopard on foot and for him not to run is absolutely insane. How crazy was that?
Through the gap there is just the back of the head of a male lion. He is absolutely unaware that we are here right now. I'll tell you, seeing lions on foot, it definitely brings out the caveman in you, this little scared human being.
Oh, my dear, I do find you most attractive when you're covered in bird lice. Oh, Charles, I love it when you peck at my head and clean the bird lice off me. Let me say hello to Barry here. Hello, Barry. I'm just going to examine you for some bird lice. Charles, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Oh, all right. I shall look for bird lice myself then.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at andBeyond in Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through andBeyond and Ngala on WildEarth. Send me live questions through the WildEarth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
The croc is still holding another one there. It's holding from the hindquarters. I would really want. The wildebeest cross is trying. The croc is holding the tail. It's holding tight. Oh no. Goodness me. Lucky, lucky wildebeest. You have another day to live.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Now, it's not just insects that undergo a complete metamorphosis. Frogs do as well, and what we're looking at here is future frogs. Or technically they are already frogs, aren't they? But we just call them tadpoles. It's actually so lovely to see tadpoles swimming around on the surface of the water. Very difficult to identify the species. Normally they're really, really large ones, which I actually think they could be, are the bullfrogs. Normally they're so large, big black tadpoles that you really cannot miss them. Yes, I think I'm going to guess that they could be the bullfrogs. And of course, they've got a life of transformation. They are literally starting off their life with tail, fins, gills. They've got to breathe oxygen underwater, so they've got oxygen extracting gills. Mouth parts that are, of course, designed to eat algae, predominantly algae. There's lots of algae in Tswalu Dam. So a complete digestive system that is tailored to being vegetarian, processing algae. And then they're going to undergo a huge change. And this is actually driven by hormones when it comes to frogs. And these hormones are from the thyroid gland. We also have a thyroid gland, and the pituitary gland. And once these hormonal changes take place, then everything starts to change. So a full skeleton with the vertebrae for a frog is going to start to develop. A full skeleton, can you believe that? Bone is going to start to develop within the tadpole. Special muscles. Got to remember, frogs have also got those specialized hind legs, just like grasshoppers have, to spring into the air. Lots of different muscles. A tongue. Yes, frogs have that very specialized sticky tongue. Eyelids. Skin, proper skin that the amphibians have that allow for gas exchange. It's very porous. And of course, they become carnivores. So they need a digestive tract that's going to be able to handle processing other organisms. So it's a huge transformation. It's not small by any way, shape or form. Jimmy, you're asking what eats the tadpoles. I hope that was correct. Many things. They are the perfect snack for so many different animals out here. So fish, some carnivorous fish, which we have lots of in Tswalu Dam, like your catfish, they will snack on tadpoles. Then you'll get the birds.
We locate Mafazingwe, just western side of Kayamanzi staff waters.
Okay, we have a leopard and buffalo, so I wonder if we can head there. But we're very far away. And birds will swoop down and pick up, especially like your kingfishers, they will snack on them. If they are very, very close to the shoreline, which these ones are not, reptiles like monitor lizards would snack on them. Water monitor lizards will go into the water if they can catch them and snack on them. They're a delicious protein-packed snack for many, many different organisms. So very soon they will turn into frogs. How fascinating. So I'm going to get on this radio and find out about this leopard. And for now, we're going to send you guys down to Tswalu.
Welcome back, everybody. As you can see, these meerkats are now scouting even furthermore towards the south. We've just had that massive flock of atom storks coming over to land. And so we literally just checking them as they are scouting over the area. But furthermore, you see, the thing is they've got to be double more, shall I say, alerted, just for the safety sake of the babies as well, obviously trying to keep those babies as safe as possible. So like I said earlier, we're definitely going to sit and wait and just watch and see when those meerkat babies will come up. And even if you're at a different destination, we'll ask to quickly come back, just if we can get those pups out and about. I mean, that'll be so amazing to see those little puppies coming out. And the thing is, looking at the colony, just maintaining once again, as you can see coming through again here, it's literally like a preparation for the pups to come out. And all of this is just to make double sure that it's definitely safe to do so, because it's also in the same time a training process for these pups, as the adults show them how to safely, shall I say, come out of the house and the nest or the burrow system early in the morning. And then it comes down to that formation, that they will be safe and sound coming out and knowing exactly how to be safe while they do so. How to observe, how to look for troubles coming out and about. And it's good if there's every now and again a hawk or an eagle or something moving past while they are in this training process, because that shows them also how to escape from dangerous situations in that formations. But yeah, looks like one or two of them are actually starting to forage, slowly but surely. Just a very interesting plant that this meerkat has just come up to here. You see the ball-like shape on the top end there, and that's a ball full of seeds, and that is why this plant is called a tumbleweed. If that little cottonish type of ball breaks off, it rolls across the surfaces and it does the seed dispersal. But yeah, just very interesting while we look at the image there on the screen. That is very cool. But on top of that, it is called the acrotome plant. Very cool. Or a tumbleweed. Climate at home, you asking if the meerkats are not too quick for jackals to catch. The thing is, meerkats, majority of the time, yes, because there's a lot of them with fantastic good eyesight, they manage to escape well in advance most of the time. But you do get to that situation, like let's say before anybody woken up early in the morning, you could get a jackal sensing the fresh or scent of the meerkats that went down there at that burrow systems at night. And then he could sit on the edge of the bush, and as the first one could come up, he could actually grab that one, as he did not know that there was somebody outside the burrows awaiting upon them. So yes, they can get caught up at some given points, but it doesn't happen a lot. But jackals, being the terrestrial trouble most of the time, or shall I say threat for meerkats, that is most of the time one of the biggest problems. Veronique, our main meerkat habituator, has had a very interesting sighting the one day, actually with this particular group that we're looking at now, where she sat outside the burrow system and waiting for them to come up early in the morning, and she was actually scouting over the area as well, looking at the surroundings, just as we as people that loves the bush do every morning, looking at a new life that could have come across the landscape. But anyways, as she was looking at these meerkats, she was sitting there for well over a half an hour at that particular burrow system, and the next moment the first meerkat popped out, and she was obviously sitting there for a long time. The next moment there was an African wildcat just jumping out of the bush, grabbed that first meerkat, like right there, from all that time that she was sitting waiting there. Actually, she had that African wildcat just grabbing the meerkat right in front of her and just ran off with the meerkat. And that was obviously a big shock to the group. But yeah, it's not just jackals from that point of view that could cause trouble, but also cats like your African wildcats or the caracal even. But yeah, once incidents and situations like that has happened. I mean, she couldn't believe what have just happened right in front of her. And how long have that African wildcat been sitting in that bush close to the Boris system without her even being able to notice it, because it was just camouflaged so well in the bush. And it just happened right in front of her. I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see something like that happening. But yeah, it was quite a shock for the family at that given point. Pups are coming out to the central section on the left-hand side of the plant. I just saw 2-3 little heads popping out there, guys. Can you believe it? There is the Hossa group, little pups coming about right now. Slowly but surely, you'll see them coming arise through the little plants. Slowly but surely, I'm seeing little heads popping out there. So I can see the camera is just a tiny bit too low still yet for those little pups. Do you have movement there, BK? All right. So we'll see slowly but surely, as you can see, their little heads are going to come up. I can see a little tiny like ball shape for the heads popping out there above the creepers that's growing along in the Boris system. But yeah, so special, guys. We've been waiting for this moment. Look at that. And that is just so amazing to see little teeny tiny babies of meerkats for the first rise coming out. And that's actually the first time I'm actually seeing these little pups. And that is why I'm so excited about this as well. It's really, really so cool. Look at that little head just looking about the entire surface in the area, trying to figure out what's happening. So yeah, that is so special. Check how they're looking at the adults over there, trying to figure out, okay, so is this what we need to do? Is this what we need to do? This is how we need to stand up, right? Okay, so elders, how are you doing that? Hey, look at me, friends. I'm actually being able to stand upright. Dovey commenting that they always look so anxious. Definitely. The thing is, they when they come up for the first time, and I've seen it with many meerkat colonies, for the very first time that they come out, they're always quite afraid, thinking about the situation of, is it safe enough to do so? I mean, it's a brand new world opening up. It's nothing like they have seen before. So you're thinking about being born in a Boris system, in darkness down there. And they just go and feel and the ways of the presence of the rest of the meerkats at night when they are there. And when they're old enough, it's like how can I put it? It's like this blank, brand new page opening up, and everything's brand new. So everything, almost the slightest of movement of even just the least harmful bird landing in a tree, they don't know if they can trust it. So you'll see they look more at the adults at that given point than anything else. Just out of the sake of being able to figure out what is safe and what is not, what can they trust and what not. But just so special to see those little guys coming about. TaylorMade, you asking how long will it take them to grow to that fully grown adult meerkat? You know what? If it depends completely on how well the caretakers of the group is raising those pups. Because each and every meerkat pup gets their own caretaker. The alpha pair being the parents of, obviously, of those little pups. They're only there for leading the group, like the pack of African wild dogs, and leading the group to success. So it depends completely on the adults members within the group. Like you see there, he's already holding on to a relative that is standing upright as he's trying to figure out, okay, this is going to be my caretaker, and this is my caretaker. And so each and every one of these caretakers will show them how to be a meerkat. So how to look for food, and how frequently they're finding food through the simple fact that a caretaker brings food to them as well. So each and every individual pup follows her or his caretaker, and then they do have a great amount of success feeding at this given point. So it also depends on the conditions in the bush. Thinking about a drought condition, or is it good conditions like now where there's crazy amount of food resources. And so because of the adequate amount of food that they can get through that point of view, that will make a meerkat grow fast or slow. But let's say in good conditions, you could get to a point where it takes about a good 6 months to a subadult, well, even about, I'd say, 4 months to a subadult meerkat, and about a good year to almost just over a year to start seeming like a proper adult meerkat in that good conditions. In extremely good conditions like right now, I'd say within a year and a half to just around about a year, actually, in fact, it could get to that point to a strong adult look and view to a formation. Within after a year in good conditions, you would almost have a tough time to say if that one was a youngster from about a year ago or so. Just because they grow so well and so quick and so successfully, actually. Guys, that is just so special. The moment that we've been waiting for, and there they are. Look at that comfort. So special seeing that caretaker holding on to the pups there. And watch this, they might actually follow those others out to the maintenance of the other burrow system that's gone out that way. Yeah, so they might actually hop across the plants there to so you'll see they're just trying to figure out from a safety point of view, trying to figure out what's happening there, and trying to figure out should they or could they actually be able to follow up to the adult meerkats. Up to that other burrow system there. Yep, there we go. Just scouting out and about. It's amazing to see these heights of those adult ones on the left hand side, and then the little tiny ones on the right. And what a gorgeous view, seeing all these meerkats spread out well over the burrow system as you're looking at it like that. Haven, age 6, you asking what are they eating or what do they eat? They focus majority of the year on scorpion activity. It's actually quite interesting thinking about it, that it's an animal that eats on quite a dangerous insect, and shall I say rather arachnid. In that situation, being quite a vicious thing to hunt on as it is. But yeah, we got quite venomous scorpions in this environment as well. And so they go during the day, they wake up obviously like they do, like we've seen throughout the morning, and then it gets to a point that they forage most of the day until it gets too hot. But as they start foraging, they find their scorpions, bugs, beetles, and any form of insect life majority, even the grubs and larvae stages of butterflies and things that could sometimes be dug out from underground, but pretty much any type of insect life. Then they would disturb the ground here and there as they move, scratch it a bit here, scratch it a bit there, and then that disturbance that they created on the top surface, because those ears are like forwards-facing bucket-like satellite dishes, you could get to a point that they could hear the insect movement underneath the ground and also pick up on the vibrations and then start digging after the sound and the vibrations that they caught up to. And if they go deeper than a good 10 centimeters underground, I've seen a burrow system ducking into, well, a hole that they're busy digging out for food resources. You could get to about 15 centimeters almost, that I've seen them going down digging out scorpions. So yes, scorpions is definitely what they prefer most of the time to eat on. But yeah, beetles, grubs, anything of that insect type of formation. They could also go onto something like mice, rodents, being actually rather described as a carnivorous character, but majority feeding on insects in the environment, keeping a very good balance in the ecosystem, being a keystone species.
When on safari, there is nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
We stopped as the dusk was settling and there was a zebra mare underneath the bush. She was lying down. We didn't really know what was happening, and then we saw it.
Everybody, there's a zebra giving birth there. There's a zebra giving birth. This is a zebra giving birth. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, you clever mare. Well done. It's born, everyone. It's born and it's alive and it looks fine.
This was, of course, an unusual sighting. Normally, herbivores like impala and wildebeest and zebra will give birth during the middle of the day. This is when their predators like lions and hyenas are fast asleep. But as this little foal took its first steps, the dying embers of the day had just gone over the western horizon, and it was just the time that the hyenas and lions were starting to get active and go out foraging. This is why we didn't light up the sighting, of course. It may have compromised the zebra's eyes and at the same time attracted those hyenas and lions to the activity.
Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for WildEarth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on WildEarth.
Hello, Mama. Just checking us out, everybody. There's no aggression here. Very relaxed. A herd of elephants moving around your car like that. It's truly, truly magical.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Wonderful. So we came this far north into Beversook and respond to Ngala, the leopard, the female leopard. As you can see, she's right in the tall grasses but busy cleaning off, since you have a lot of walk into these wet grasses. There's two vehicles here with us, as you can hear talking in the background. Probably been in a lot of a move, and the guys got her. She was still moving this morning, and it's so cool that they're able to keep this sighting. It's not easy when it's very wet, but we just she's just next to the road where we can see her clearly. looks like she's doing pretty well there. Even though she had one eye, one is gone. Now off she goes. So we're going to try see if we can follow her. It's not easy, but we're going to try that. There's two other vehicles here, which is going to give us each other a chance. So I'm going to try stick with her. In the meantime, I will be sending you across to Tswalu.
Welcome back, folks. So a very crazy incident had just happened here. We had an entire flock of easily over 60 atom storks just flying over this entire population of meerkats. And as I was explaining a bit earlier, they all just got such a big fright and just all duck into the burrows and then popped out again. As you can see, look at the majority of them actually looking across towards those storks, but they know those storks are not hunting on them. It's a bit of a pity that the bushes further to the southwest is a bit blocking the view of the atom storks, but we'll see if we can get a nice visual of them coming out. They're actually about 150 to 200 meters to the southwest of the meerkats now, but they flew right over us and it sounded like a windstorm coming over us. How awesome the sounds were actually when they came over us actually. But yeah, that entire sound, I think it was more the sound effect than anything else that scared the meerkats big time there. But yeah, so cool to have that interactions. Darcy Ann, you're asking how tall can meerkats get? You're looking at roughly about 25 centimeters or so, 20 to 25 centimeters or so. I have never really been in that case where I've measured meerkats before, or could measure meerkats, because you literally have to dart them or sedate them in that case. But yeah, I mean, you wouldn't really do that just out of the sake of measuring it, but yeah, you're looking at about roughly 20.
Sorry about that. I don't quite know what happened, but I'm more than sure Tswalu will be back.
Pushing over change.
Sorry, Game Drive Radio has a knack of always going off when I'm live. Now, we've came across one of my favourite birds, and I say this about every bird. Every bird's my favourite bird. It's very difficult to choose. How do you choose a favourite? Anyway, this is a bird that I like very much, and it is, of course, the brown-headed parrot. Terrible name, but we won't go into that. We shall just agree that it does have a brown head after all. Forget the marvellous green body. And they're always found in this tree. There's not just one. There's actually many of them, and they are said to be monogamous. So, of course, it's very common to find two of them together, the monogamous pair. But they're solitary nesters, so it doesn't mean they're colonial nesters. So although you see quite a few of them together socially, it doesn't mean that they're nesting together. Now, you will find the male and female together all year round, so it's quite a solid bond, solid pair bond. Now, whether extra copulatory pair bonds go on, I cannot say, but they are strictly monogamous to one another all year round. Now, they normally use sort of woodpecker holes, if you like, to nest, and I wonder if they're nesting here. At age 13, no, it cannot. It is a wild parrot, and believe it or not, I found some really interesting birds in Johannesburg when I was staying there. They were parrots of a sort, and I thought, this is not entirely normal. This species should not be found here. Why is it here? And basically, it's a huge problem in South Africa right now with people bringing in different species of birds, especially tropical ones. Parakeets are a big problem. And they either let them go or these birds escape. And of course, then they breed. And they're now found all across South Africa in urban environments. And this is where they should not be. And I believe one of the main sort of problematic birds is the rose-ringed parakeet. And because they've got no natural predators, because they're not supposed to be there, that means that, especially in Johannesburg, these populations are rising. And although they're possibly not doing any damage, it will eventually cause problems in the ecosystem because they're not supposed to be there. So it wasn't the rose-ringed parakeet that I actually saw in Joburg, but it was definitely a species that should not be there. They've been released from the pet trade some way or another. But these birds, no, they're not kept as pets, and nor should they be. They're wild birds, and we can admire them, just like we're admiring this one here. They should definitely not be kept in a cage. Invasive species that are brought, or alien species that are brought to an area that should not be there, it's very problematic. It will affect the local biodiversity in that area. And a great example is the lionfish. The lionfish is obviously a fish that looks like a lion. It's very, very beautiful. And a lot of divers love to see them because, well, they make great photos. But generally speaking, they're found all across the Caribbean and they should not be there, which means it's very, very detrimental to the local biodiversity. And what's happening is that because they don't have any natural predators, just like the birds, the populations are rising and they're actually killing all the reef fish. So by killing all the reef fish, especially those that feed on the algae, that means the algae is now overgrown and it's destroying the reef. Coral and algae compete for space. So the whole sort of natural dynamics of the reef are changing, all because of the lionfish. And it's interesting, the theories as to how they got there. There's one theory that says that it could be a hurricane that brought these animals to the Caribbean because they're native to the South Pacific and the Indian Ocean. Or, again, pet trade. Someone brought them over to keep them in an aquarium, and of course they got released into the ocean, obviously more than one, and their populations have just completely, well, exploded. It's a massive threat to the Atlantic Ocean. It's a big problem in the Caribbean, a really big problem, and they do fish them. They do spearfish them, which I'm not promoting, but they do have to control the populations because it's completely upsetting the balance of the natural ecosystem. And it's the same with any birds, parrots, parakeets that are released into cities. They should not be there. And with no natural predators, the populations are going to explode. Now, I know this is a terrible view. I wonder if it's going into the nest hole there. And we've got this rain roof on, which is such a joy to protect us from the rain, but sadly, it makes it very difficult to view things that are slightly higher off the ground. So I am convinced they're nesting. And as I mentioned earlier, they do use sort of old woodpecker holes, any sort of natural cavity that's in the tree. And they can actually gnaw on it with their beak to make it bigger. So if it's just a very small hole from a woodpecker, they are actually able to expand the size of the hole, and they'll reuse it year after year. Okay, I'm going to keep bumbling. The sun is out, so I am happy, but we are going to send you across to Andrew and Nsele.
Cool, so we still and disposition of Sele. We still have a side of her moving, which is very good. She moved parallel the road, and that we still have a sighting going of her. We speak earlier about the sun coming out, as it did already. Beautiful light. She's now doing a facial rubbing, and I'm just gonna drive around so we get another look closer. That she's moving into this very tall grass, even though it's quite open, but a chance of her still going to continue moving. It's great that it's not hot, wind a little bit. Are you asking if I know how she lost her eye? I'm not sure. It's probably happened far in the south, but I'm not sure how. Whether it was in a fight or what happened. But I'll find out from the guys when I got a chance. That it's good for me to know though. It looks like she's got a beautiful history that she come far from the south, all the way back this way in far north. She's now in the tail up, so you could see the white. So it was a lot of birds calling in the background. A lot of time when they moved through that situations, had a lot of birds going crazy about her. She would rise the tail up. Maybe age 8, so you're asking what it does mean when it tails up like that. So a lot of time the leopards, when they move into places where they get yelled by birds, species, and then for them to rise a tail like that, it's all about communicating or saying to birds that I'm not hunting you birds, I'm not going to hunt you. In the meantime, she would hunt birds, but it's all about she don't want to expose into kind of a noises. Where birds would actually alarm call for any danger, whether it's a bird of prey, whether it's a snake, anything that could kill them. lot of cats, after a wet or drizzling of rain, all they do, they just get active and move around and continuously patrol their boundary territory, reactivate their scent since it's washed off slightly due to the rain we have. But that could be applied the same with the lions. Anybody who marked their territory with a chemical, when a rain comes, that chemical washed off. Not all of it, but it's so important that it's all got to be reactivated. Stay stronger, smell stays in there. So Kyle asking if with the one eye it's a good advantage for hunting. Yes, so she would still hunt very well though with the one eye and the other one lost. But the animal that you see with the two eyes is always a chance, greater chance, but if one lost, as a cat, a leopard, they still make their plane to be able to maneuver around, get used to the new skill they will learn from that. How do they use to spot around as they move on? So I'm gonna keep up with her. So it looks like she's going to be now moving into deep. It's not thick really, but it's tall grasses. In these tall grasses, we still have a chance to follow her. But when you get into that tree line on the other side where it's a silver cluster leaf trees, all the sign of very much soft sand, that we maybe have to leave her or see if she comes to another open area where we can follow her still. Now she's just scanning around. With us driving sometimes, hearing it's lost from her completely, but the minute we stop, she will also stop just to listen again. She went down. And then she just went down there. I'm gonna drive further closer. got her still in the shed, busy cleaning it off, wet. Marianne, you're asking how many babies she have. I'm not sure. I don't actually have a lot of her history in terms of a baby that she had since an adult age until today. But I'll find out for you. But I'm sure she definitely has. She's actually a fully grown cat, but I'm not just sure how many of them. And then now she's in the area where Hlangula, the male leopard, hangs around. Possible that she crossed into Manyeleti, which is another game reserve. And the Hlangula also got into that area as well. This is his territory area of operational. So, Lucky asking, how often do the leopard territorial dispute? So that's depending on how many leopards in the area, and challenges comes too much where there is a lot of a push one another, but then comes so much strictly as a male, put two male together around, where you switch territorial to another. It's all about the force of power that leopard would use. And that, of course, you would see a lot of changes of a leopard, male leopard species. Oh yes, so that's a question of how many cubs she have. So there is information that came in from the viewers, some of the viewers that I know for sure. They said 2 offspring she raised. It looks like it, they say that, so it's one of these very good information about her. So 2 offspring she had. But then it means that she would have more if that Hlangula male stick with her enough. Which I'm sure it will happen, because then male and a female, it's so important for female to be around where there's male, and for male to be around where there's so many of a female to reproduce. Eventually, she would find suitable spot for her to lie down for the day, or she may continue. Move when the weather allows her to do that. So I'm going to stay put here just to see where she's going to go, if she's going to be finally laid down there for us.
It's the month of March and WildEarth is offering you the chance to win a brand new prize. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could win a 5-day eco-training ranger experience for 2. Eco-training is the pioneer and leader in safari guide and wildlife training in Africa. The lucky winners can look forward to approaching dangerous game on foot, tracking and 4x4 driving, learning about animal behavior, and even spending one night sleeping out under a blanket of stars. In addition, you will also get the exclusive opportunity to join the WildEarth team on the broadcasting vehicle. Sign up to be an explorer now, and it could be you that wins this life-changing experience. Terms and conditions apply.
Converging game path will invariably lead you to a water source, but treat all water as suspect. One of my favorite ways of purifying water is to filter out the particulates. And by just filtering it through your sock, you can clear out most of those. You can put water into a snail shell and you can boil it over a fire or using a chemical like chlorine or colloidal silver.
I'm Nikki here at andBeyond in Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the WildEarth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next WildEarth drive.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
We have found a butterfly. It's been a while since I've got into my butterflies. And this is a guinea fowl species. Now look at the difference between the top side, the top of the wing, where it's very grey, almost brown, with speckled white dots. The underside, it's rather orange. And this is the case for most butterflies. The top side, the coloration, the pattern will completely differ from the underside. And what's amazing within butterflies is that they really show, or lots of different species show mimicry. And mimicry in the animal kingdom is just absolutely fascinating. Now, it's not camouflage. Camouflage basically refers to when a species resembles an inanimate object. So, for example, it looks like the grass or the bark of a tree or a leaf and tries to blend in with something that's not moving in its environment. Now, mimicry, that actually refers to similarities between species. They're trying to mimic one another. And you get different forms of mimicry, and they're utilized by both predator and prey. It's not just prey species that utilize mimicry. And you get Batesian, Mullerian, and even self-mimicry. And what I love about butterflies is that you really, really good examples of that. And self-mimicry is actually quite misleading, but basically it's when species have one body part that mimics another to increase survival. So the best example will appear in moths and butterflies and even fish. There's fantastic examples in reef fish where they have eye spots. And normally in fish, it's at the back of the body in the caudal area, the caudal peduncle, my favourite word, which is the back end near the tail, which you can also call the caudal fin. And it's trying to look like the eye. So when the fish is swimming from side to side, it causes confusion within the predator. Where's the head? Where's the tail? And this confusion can actually increase the survival of the fish because it's able to escape. Now, when it comes to butterflies, some of them also have this eye spot, or also have a spot that's there to confuse the predator. It creates a false target, if you like. A butterfly's got a much better chance of surviving an attack to the outer side of its wings than it would do to the head. Unfortunately, it's not going to survive an attack to the head. But I just want to show you an example here, Impo, if you're ready, of Batesian. And the most perfect example within butterflies is the African monarch and the common diadem. It's a great example, and Batesian is where, if we just look at this area here in my book that's been torn apart by the monkeys. I'm not talking to any of the vervet monkeys right now. So this is a monarch and this is a diadem. Now you can see how remarkably similar they are. This is mimicry. They're trying to mimic one another because the African monarch is actually extremely unpalatable. If you just zoom in a little bit here, Impo. So the coloration, just like the elegant grasshopper, is aposematic coloration, and it's trying to say, hey, I'm beautiful, guys, but I'm beautiful because, well, I'm not palatable. So don't eat me. I'm orange, I'm black. It's a warning. You're not going to enjoy it. You're probably going to get very sick. You may even die. So what the diadem is doing, the common diadem, is trying to mimic the African monarch and pretend that it's unpalatable, but actually the diadem is palatable. It doesn't contain toxins. It's not going to cause an adverse reaction. So that's what you call Batesian mimicry. One species pretending to be the other in order for survival. Now, when you look at Mullerian mimicry, if you go down here, actually this is the best example. The dusky acrear and the wanderer. Now, all of them are unpalatable on this side. Okay, and what they're trying to do is increase their survival rate, fitness benefits, by all looking similar. So if they all look different, it's going to be more of a challenge for the predator to remember all these different species that are unpalatable. Okay, the wanderer is black and white, and the dusky acrear is pink and purple. So which ones are unpalatable and which ones are not? So they're collectively co-mimics, and what that means is that they're all trying to appear like one another, so then it will increase the chance that the predator will remember, oh, the black and white, yes, definitely unpalatable. So that's self-mimicry, Batesian mimicry, and Mullerian mimicry. And you can find them all in butterflies, which is why I find them so fascinating. I think we still have the guinea fowl butterfly just over here, somewhere here. Bessie, you are asking about, do butterflies have muscles in their wings? And you all know I love my diagrams. I'm actually just going to quickly bring out a diagram because it's going to show you exactly where the muscles are of the butterfly. Excuse the noise. I keep everything in my box because it's raining. There it is here somewhere. There we go. Okay, Mpo, one more time, back to the diagram. Now, this is not a butterfly. I don't actually know what I've drawn here, but it shows you the basic structure of an insect. You've got the head over here, which a butterfly does have, and the antennae are attached. Then you've got the thorax. Now, the thorax is what you're actually asking about. It's a very short part of the body that we call the transport center, and this is where the wings and the legs are attached to. So this is a wing. Let's just pretend this is a butterfly. There's no muscles in the wing itself. It's all made up of scales, very fine little scales. But in here, in the actual thorax itself, where the wings are attached to, that's where the muscles are. And yes, there's lots of them. There's lots of muscles attached to all four wings the forewings and the hind wings, and then there's muscles attached to all of the legs. Then you've got the abdomen. The abdomen is that long part you see in the butterfly, and that's where the digestive system is and the reproductive system. So that's the basic outlay of an insect. 3 parts, 6 legs. That's how you can remember what an insect is. Head, thorax, and abdomen, and then all 6 legs, which are all attached to the thorax. So yes, they do have muscles, but not in the wings. All the muscles are in the thorax themselves, and that's what helps to power the wings. So I hope that answered your question. I'm glad my diagrams are coming in handy. I actually had my tooth for you all, my wisdom tooth, which contains all of my wisdom. I don't have any wisdom anymore. And I was going to do a wonderful explanation into teeth for you into the animal kingdom. So I kept my wisdom tooth for you all in the box, and the monkeys have stolen it. I don't know why, but they've stolen my wisdom tooth, and now I really have no wisdom, and it belongs to the vervet monkeys. Anyway, enough of my wisdom tooth chat. I believe Andrew is admiring Nsele, who's sitting in a tree.
Thanks, Lauren. So our Nsele, the leopard, the female leopard, she climbed Marula tree right to the top. And this is now lying beautifully. But this could be the way of hunting. When they're up slightly higher point, there's a chance they can scan around them. And she was doing that when she got up there. She looked around just before she went flat into that dry branches. But well balanced as well. Good position. This is a marula tree she's at. One of the leopard's favorite tree to host their prey up. Soft bark allows the cat to use their nail claw, snatch up immediately with a fully heavy prey with them. So you say she's mysterious, really. Especially that she's right in a tree, all you see the big sky, cloudy pretty much. But it still provide a beauty of all painted. Her body with a rosette spot. Well, she's still beautiful even though she lost one eye. If you were to see her from the distance, you wouldn't know that until you get closer look at her. So if it happens, she spots something from that far, and then she will go down and then walk to it. But doesn't look like she's seen anything, as she just pauses, look away, and all she needs is a pillow. Jojo, so you're asking if she falls, she will land on her feet just like a cat at home, and then I've seen a leopard does that, and that was a white cloth pushed by his son. From that height, she dropped, and where she able to land on her feet. I'm not sure if it's always happened, but I saw her once she does that. But from them falling off from the trees like that, so there's a chance they may land on their feet, because they don't climb upside down, always just a normal stand, and even they lie in that branches. If that branches ever break down, she'll make sure when she go down she don't break her neck. This is the first thing she will make sure, and she has to use a lot of muscle to force her legs not to let the whole body damaged. With the wind that is picking it up already, the whole dew is dried out quickly, so they were able to walk through these grasses without getting themselves wet. What we seen when she was on the floor there walking through these grasses, she eventually lay down and clean her feet again, lick herself, walk again, get wet, and then lay down. So you got to do that quite often when she wants to walk into a wet grass. And to me, she don't look like she had a full belly there. And she must be desperately want to hunt. There was not even a single impala that we've seen around here. So she's probably gonna lie right up there, and I'm gonna stay put here. We'll be sending you across to Tswalu for them to give everybody an update.
as we're going to continue. We're going to keep on going and see if we can see what else we can find in these areas in the south this morning. Actually, we still actually trying to locate on that elusive cheetah, as I mean, the cheetah population on Tswalu is really, really great, and I mean, it's a fantastic area and a game reserve to actually follow up on cheetah itself, as we have such a nice population. But yeah, with this grasses and vegetation, it is also quite easy to miss them every now and again and so on, just because of the tall grasses in this area as well. That was actually the biggest battling session for us yesterday afternoon, trying to locate on those guys with all of this thick vegetation, everything around and about. But yeah, we are, after that gorgeous event we had with those meerkats, we have moved a bit further south just to see if we can locate on them. Those meerkats have moved off from the burrows and yeah, just gone into a spot where we couldn't film them furthermore. But yeah, so cool to have been able to film those guys as we were there with them. What's so special about that situation as well is being able to be with them and them not being afraid of our presence being around there and so on. There's a couple of more giraffe on our right hand side coming up. Beautiful couple of giraffes. A very light colored couple of ones actually. I think it's actually the same group because we are not too far from that waterhole where we've been at yesterday evening. But just again, beautiful to see those beautiful lightly colored ones coming through. Now, as you can see, that one has just walked up to a camel thorn tree's edge there as well, and just scouting over the area, just looking at us as well. But yeah, in an area where there's such nice camel thorn trees and around the spot, they will always be focused around the acacia rheoloba, because that being said, the acacia rheoloba being the camel thorn tree with its stunning earlobe shape like seed pods, sorry for that, but yeah, in that formation they always focus on those trees in those given areas. And obviously if you look at the geo pattern on giraffe with that stunning lighter stripes with the, almost want to say a leopard like skin all over the body, is making them blend in again, coming back to a splash coloration formation to blend in with this environment. And this is actually a couple of mixed herd of a couple of mixed feeders coming through. Well, not mixed feeders, wrong word there, but you're looking at a mixed herd is what I'm trying to say, is where there's females with youngsters, and I see there is a bull in amongst this mixture as well here as it goes through. We're going to just push a bit further forward and see if we can get a better view there. It looks actually very awesome seeing these guys being on a proper journey, as giraffe is on a movement, on a journey. Let's just pull a tiny bit forward there. Excuse me. Yeah, so you can see they're on the move here quite a bit as they're coming through. Now, as these giraffe are feeding most of the time skew into the wind or upwind, they also approaching the areas out of a safety point of view again, like we've seen that giraffe on a long approach and a long bend through that area further to the south of that waterhole that we've been looking at yesterday. It took them quite a while to reach the water point, but yeah, just out of a safety point of view, just approaching again into the wind direction, being able to smell whatever they're heading into, because it's, I mean, yes, they're high animals, tall animals, and they've got fantastic eyesight, but still in a formation that they can't always see underneath all the bushes. Oh, look at that stunning pose he's just given us there. Just look at that. So gorgeous. We're going to send you back over to Lauren with another gorgeous insect.
Yes, I am on fire with my insects today. I came across what I believe to be a dragonfly. Looks rather bizarre because the wings are, of course, very, very black. I am going to be honest with you and say I don't know the species. It looks slightly similar to a Lucia widow. I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. but I don't know. So all you dragonfly experts out there, help me, please. Hashtag WildEarth or @FC. I could be wrong. It's definitely a live, bright blue body with a black tip at the end. I wonder if we can see claspers. You can identify the sex of a dragonfly by looking at the rear end genitalia. You will see a pair of claspers. So sometimes they look different, they have different colorations, but once you see those claspers, you know that it's a male or a female. Now I'm just going to show you what I think could, that's a good idea. Show us your wings. Oh, dragonflies are so obliging, I love it. Okay, Paul, are you ready for yet another book? It has quite a wide distribution. It does cover the low veld, which is making me think that it could be this one. But I'm happily willing to admit that I could also be extremely wrong. Now, if we just go here, Paul, you'll see this is the male. The female is very different coloured, and we are looking at a blue individual. James Richard, thank you. Yes, I love it when I'm right. It's not often, but you know, it is a Lucia widow. Thank you so much, James. I'll need to add this to my species list. You can see here, this is the abdomen that I was referring to earlier. It's quite short, fat, and this male has got claspers at the end. I don't know if Impo can actually zoom in here. You'll see there's sort of two prongs at the rear end of the body. This is the male genitalia. Same as sharks, same as rays, and they're called claspers. So if you can get a good enough look at the dragonfly, you can see if it's male or female. And then if we look at the wings, they're attached to the thorax that we were just talking about, and the wings are very, very black or brown. White tips at the end. And I am correct. You see the female down here? It's very different looking. It's yellow. So you would easily be able to identify this species, male or female. And he's still there. Let's see if we can get Impo to go back and see this species. Now, as many of you know, I am obsessed with dragonflies. I think they are just fantastic. They really haven't changed much over the years. And just like shark, what that tells you is that because they haven't evolved much, they will have specialized adaptations to suit the new environment. Nothing in nature is static. Everything is always changing. In fact, the only constant in nature and life in general, I guess, is change. Change is the only constant. So animals will evolve. And I'm not talking about the theory of evolution. That's a very separate topic. We are constantly evolving to meet the sort of changes that we are experiencing in everyday life. Climate changes, environmental changes, all sorts of changes. So animals are constantly evolving. Over long periods of time, though, so it's not always obvious. But when it comes to dragonflies, they actually haven't changed too much over time, which proves, just like sharks, that they were incredibly successful. Oh, sorry about that. It's the Game Drive radio. So they're incredibly successful at their design, their anatomy, their ecology, everything, which means that they haven't needed to change over a really long period of time. They're millions and millions of years old, 300 million years old to be exact, dragonflies. And the only real difference is their size. So they're very small right now. This individual is very, very small. They used to go up to about 75 centimeters, just short of a meter, and swarm the skies. I don't know if I would like to experience that or not. A meter-sized dragonfly. I do and I don't, if that makes sense. It sounds fascinating, but also utterly terrifying. And they belong to Odonata with damselflies. Now, they are separate from damselflies, but they're grouped together in the same family. And then, of course, they will come under the same class, the same phylum, Arthropoda. But Odonata means the toothed ones, and because they are predators, they are carnivores, they're actually fantastic at aerial hunting. They snatch their prey right out from the sky. Now, in order to do that, you're moving, you're flying, You're actually moving all four of your wings, your forewings and your hind wings independently. You're able to acutely catch prey from the air. So you're moving, the prey is also moving, and you're able to accurately snatch the prey from the air. Sorry, Elton, one more time with that question. Andy girl, they are predators and they will eat other insects, smaller insects. So you will find that they'll eat mosquitoes and gnats and flies, possibly even larvae of other species of insects. And what I was trying to say there is that they're called the toothed ones, Odonata, because they've got mandibles. Mandibles are sort of the jaws of insects, if you like. And these mandibles are able to gnaw right through exoskeletons of other insects. Now the exoskeleton, to us, we could probably snap it because we're huge. But if you think of being a dragonfly, you've got to crunch through the exoskeleton of a mosquito, of a fly, of a gnat. That's not going to be easy. You have to have the right mouth parts for that. And the right mouth parts, of course, are mandibles. And they're just incredible. They have a success rate higher than lions, higher than leopards, even higher than wild dogs, a 95% success rate at hunting. So they really are the ultimate predator. So I think I'm going to sit here and enjoy my new species, the Lucia widow.
On a bushwalk, we become part of the natural landscape. Walking enables access to the smaller parts of nature, such as bugs, spiders, and flowers in much greater detail.
These are the wing buds right here. Isn't it just amazing?
I've never seen anything like this before. It is so beautiful. Look at those little legs.
Now, it's your turn to go on a bushwalk. Join us from Pride Lands as we reconnect to the place that first taught us how to be human.
Being a safari driver requires some serious multitasking ability. You've got to be able to talk, look at the road, steer, and occasionally get the vehicle into the right gear.
Do not crash into any trees. Oh, that's a dozy.
Just jump into the car and hope for the best, and you'll see where it takes you. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm surprised they're moving as fast as that didn't go well.
Who is the best driver? Well, me, of course, although some of the cam ops might disagree.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. What is my favorite animal and why? I think I'd have to say a lion. Being able to try and follow them and understand their movements and dynamics is super interesting. People often underestimate them and think that they sleep all the time, but once they get up and start moving around, they are fascinating to watch, and watching them interact with one another is a super highlight for me. If I can pass on this passion and this enthusiasm for lions and prides of lions into a guest that's sitting at home, that's what I'm really going for.
Wonderful. So now we changed a little bit of a position, but we already discovered a little bit of looks like a bit of a cut on the side there. Well, to me, it doesn't look really fresh, but it doesn't look really old. So it's probably, I'm not sure what happened. During the hunting, maybe so much she has come across that time. Ran into very sharpened twigs or a killing warthog, things like this can happen. So you're asking if this is her normal territory? Yes, this is where she'll always be up north since she came this far. And she's been even seen in Djuma, where Bebelusuk Dam area, that side. So she covers a lot around here. So this is her territory. And we're not far from Nyalete boundary, where is a northern reserve, where she might maybe cross over there as well. So yeah, it's got a lot of vehicles coming down here. I'll see if we can stick with this leopard for more of a time. In the meantime, I'll be sending you across to Steve with a bird.
Thanks, Andrew, and welcome back to Prrivate, everybody. We've been working hard to get some signal, and we've finally got some. We got this beautiful white-back vulture soaring. You notice under his neck there, he's got a big bulge. It's an indication that it's eaten. The crop is full. White-back vultures are able to get about 1 kilogram of meat in their crop. And he's just gone into the sunshine. And he's gone. Ow. There goes a Battalier eagle with the very pointy tips. Good job, Gert, good job. The acrobat tightrope walker, you see how the left-right sway, swagger. Berghaan. Basically means mountain chicken, because they sound like a... When you hear them call, it sounds very much like a chicken. Well, we're going to go down into this sort of area here, because that vulture took off the ground with a full crop. There were some vultures here this morning we were trying to follow up on, but we didn't have any success. But when a vulture takes off with a crop full, it means that it's eaten. So maybe something's happened here in the night that we're unaware of. So let's go and have a look, shall we? Yes. It's also been quite a cool sort of start today. There's a number of vultures circling over there trying to get thermal so that they can make their way back to their roosts or to their nests. It's a bit early for them to be breeding, but they might bring food back to a partner. But anyway, while I try to figure out what these vultures have been up to, let's send you over to Tswalu, who's also got a feathered friend.
Welcome back, everybody. Look at this gorgeous southern pale chanting goshawk that's just landed on the stem over here. But what's even more interesting is look at what he's sitting on. His talons are clawed into something that he's busy eating. Now, we were trying to figure out what he's busy eating on. But it's so cool to see. You can see how he's ripping the flesh of something there. But so cool to see how he's trying to open up more and more bits and pieces of whatever this is that he's chowing on. At first I thought it's a snake, because they can catch snakes actually, smaller snakes and so, but I can see a bit of a fluff to his bottom right hand side, a white fluff, and that could be like a hair as well, like a scrub hair that he's busy feeding on. But so cool seeing this beautiful raptor that is quite commonly occurring in the Northern Cape, or in the Kalahari even, is so beautiful, the colors. And check out that red legs from the talons that he's actually holding on to the whatever it is that he's busy chowing on there. But yeah, so cool to see this raptor bird just getting his breakfast in for the morning. Beautiful. So it's amazing when they catch animals in an open plain section like this. Wherever we're driving through, and when they're flying through these areas, they could often find things like scrub hares or even the Cape hares in this area. And those Cape hares and scrub hares are feeding obviously on the grasses and the grassy plants in this environment, or the grasses and the plant creepers in this area. Mostly the grasses though. But bottom line is, from having grasses and all of that in this open area is what created the amount of food resource for this pale chanting goshawk. And so the thing is that even that is why, like, the amount of insect life that's in these plants and grass environment in the savanna area, and it lures obviously a lot of insects that will be fed on by the meerkats. And as we were saying earlier, hawks, eagles and buzzards and all sorts of things like that is typically a threat for meerkats as well. But don't worry, it's not a meerkat though. It's not been a meerkat. We would have seen darker colors there, but there's a super white, fluffy structure that we can see there that he's been catching. So as he's flying in these open plains, he's got a strong binocular vision. Zani, you asking, does it kill its prey? There we go, flying off. And it actually looks like a bird that he caught. Look at that. Yeah, so the speed sometimes and the momentum that they actually fly catching these prey animals, it then comes down to that point that they will kill it just by impact as well. But yeah, majority of the time, raptor birds kill their prey fairly quickly and then start feeding on it. But they won't really start feeding on it before it's dead, well, unless it's dead and passed off. Because yeah, the thing is that it's still a sort of a form of danger that it could actually, or a threat that it could get away from the bird and it might lose its prey. So rather kill it first and then eat it. But yeah, I've changed over from a scrub hare to a bird, and raptor birds do hunt on birds like doves and all sorts of things like that. So I'm going to try with the binoculars just to have another better look again there, and just trying to figure out, like, it's unfortunately hanging in the twigs and the branches there at the moment. But yeah, it looked like a bird because I could see some legs hanging down when it flew up into the air there. And the color of the bird there is, and the length of the legs, it looked typically like a dove or something like that, for instance. But there's a huge amount of fluff, which is making it quite difficult to actually ID whatever he's caught there. There's the sound. The sound of his victorious catch that he's just caught there as he's actually calling out and about, calling for his mate. And off he goes. Yeah, it's a bird. Looks like a dove shape, and doves do have a bit of white feathers on that spot on the underbelly as well, sometimes if you open up the bluish feather formations. Lucy, you asking how many species of raptor birds are there in Tswalu? Actually, there's well over 10 at least at certain given times of the year. Like if I start calling them out, I haven't really counted them. And so, but yeah, it's like your steppe buzzard that comes through certain given times of the year, the southern pale chanting goshawk, the Gabba goshawk, the pygmy falcon. Yes, there's lots. It's well over 10 to 15 of them actually. For a desert environment, it's very important for these raptor birds to be around in an area that is like this, as they also just creating a nice balance in nature in this formation. And there we go. The sound is coming out again on the pale chanting goshawk. But yeah, pretty good question. This time of the year, you do have more raptors coming in, as you have intra-African migrants coming in from other areas of Africa and so on. But yeah, if you look at the bigger picture, the one that's right throughout the year that's here is actually the pale chanting goshawk. as well as the black-chested snake eagles. That's more over the mountain sections majority of the time. Not a very big eagle, but a beautiful black throat up to the chest, and the rest of the chest up to the legs is super snow white. But yeah, a beautiful black-chested snake eagle. Get some brown snake eagles here this time of the year as well. You could get easily martial eagles as well as Verreaux's eagles in this area. So yeah, there's a nice population for this time of the year and so on. So we're gonna send you in the meanwhile back over to Pridelands and just looking at that gorgeous view of the mountains and the plains casting over this area of Tswalu.
Welcome back to Impala Clearing, Impala Plains, everybody, with our little bachelor herd of impalas. We haven't managed to yet figure out what those vultures are doing. But before, a little while ago, we went past where we think the lioness has a den, but weren't able to find her. No activity in the area. Tracks of a big buffalo bull had moved through. I don't think she would try her luck with a big buffalo bull. He's a big fellow by the tracks and by the dung he deposited. He's been around. I haven't managed to find him yet, but a few other people have seen him. Lone buffalo bull on his own. But yeah, these impala males, a good 7 of them out in the open here. We're hoping they're going to do a little bit of playing, fighting, competition. And before they do so, we'll probably see a bird of some sort. Oh, there it is. Beautiful European roller. Such wonderful colours. It's been quite a cool morning, quite fresh, definitely feel the change of the season in the air. As the season starts to change as well, you'll start to notice birds like this starting to move and migrate back, and they'll become less and less frequent. And next month we probably won't even see them at all. But with the late rains that we've had, lots of emergence of insects. I've actually seen some new golden orbweb spiders. Seemingly they've hatched. Sometimes that is possible, I suppose, that golden orbweb spiders that are here for the seasonality, and they grow very large and they breed and then die off. It's possible that due to the excessive rain, the fact that the insects are going to repopulate the area, that spiders that are seasonal like that might even hatch early and go through a short season. Oh, we caught something. Oh, wonderful. What have you got there? Oh, it's a nice beetle, covered, full of, it's almost a dung, oopsie, all the way in. I can't imagine putting that entire thing in your throat. Lots of sharp edges. They must have throats of steel. Oh, get a few lungfuls of air there. That's going to go into the crop for now, and then after a period of time it'll go into the gizzard, the muscular sort of chamber below the crop. That does a lot of the crushing, breaking down. It's essentially the teeth of the bird inside its digestive tract. Kevin, the main reason is food. They move for food, so all the majority of the birds we see that have migrated here have come here for the insects. You don't really have birds doing long distance migration for seeds. and for other types of food. You do get local migrations of birds that move around with regards to watering holes and seasonal pans, for the changes in the frogs, and some maybe for the changes in fish, or some for seeds. So like the quelias will have sort of local migrations. There's some birds that will migrate from the low veld to the high veld due to the temperature changes, and that's another reason why some of these birds will migrate to the north, because it gets cold down here. They go back north where the climate is much more suitable, and at the same time there's an emergence of insects once again. So the daylight hours can change, and that also affects temperature and the emergence of food. So which one is the cue is hard to say, but it's possible that the temperature starts to influence the animal and they realize, hang on a second, I didn't pack my winter baggage, my winter clothes. I'm going to head on back. But if there are excessive insect blooms, you can have certain birds like this overwintering. They kind of miss the boat, as it were. They don't leave in time, and then they spend the winter. There's also records of European roller being found down in the Cape. He did a 180-degree migration. Instead of turning around and going north, he went the opposite direction, and most likely it's a juvenile that just got his compass bearings wrong and flew in the right line but in the wrong direction. Some birds, though, that aren't able to build up their condition. I've had a redback shrike once before that I found in the dead of winter that was still here, and it had a damaged eye. So it's possible it wasn't able to service its vehicle, as you would say, get all of its feathers in top condition, wasn't able to gain the necessary body weight and fat. And so then embarking on a big migratory mission like that is very, very difficult to do. It's a very dangerous journey. It's huge amounts of risk, and it's actually a very small percentage of juveniles that are born in Europe coming down that actually successfully make it back. I don't know the numbers, but youngsters don't do very well. But what it perpetuates is the success of the stronger gene moving forward. Those youngsters that survive the first journey, the arduous journey, there and back again, if they breed the first year, or even if it's the second year afterwards, that genetic sort of strength, traveling ability is passed on. And so when it comes to food, these birds will move due to the competitive nature of it all. And the birds that stay behind, although they don't undergo the migration, they've had to specialize in some form or the other. Woodpeckers being able to access food where others can't. All of the long probed beaking sort of birds like the woodhoopus or the hoopus that we find are able to access food in the ground. Franklins and guinea fowl are able to scratch a living out of pretty much anything. And hornbills are very adaptable. So if you find birds that have stuck around, they've got a very good strategy for survival. And it's mainly your very limited insect-eating diet birds that move. The cuckoos will all move, except for the classes cuckoo. We often find classes cuckoos still in South Africa. They generally stick around these sort of more forested, more vegetated areas. And cuckoos feed almost exclusively on caterpillars. So if there are caterpillar emergences, and in the forest biomes, it's an all-round affair. So there's no problem with them staying. But in saying that as well, many of the birds that do go all the way to the north, such as this roller, go there to breed. They go all the way to the north, building up their condition here, so they overwinter here, basically overwintering the European winter, because it's extremely cold up there. We don't obviously get the same temperatures down here. As we know, many parts of Europe undergo huge snowfalls. It gets very, very cold. But in the summer, it's lush and green and full of life. So we've actually got, there's a sort of a nickname given to many of our European travelers who come to South Africa for the summer and back to Europe for the European summer. And we call them swallows because they follow the sun. It's not meant in any derogatory sort of term. I've met many German, British, Dutch travelers who have houses in both the north and the southern hemisphere. And what a wonderful existence to follow the sun and follow the good season. It is all a choice. Bobby, I don't know if birds know that the rain's coming, but definitely what we seem to find is just before a big storm is looming, the birds go quiet and the bird activity seems to completely disappear as they all sort of find somewhere to hunker down and probably prepare for the rain. I mean, they got all sorts of cues. We talk about their migration. There's all sorts of things that people talk about birds being able to follow geographical lines. They've got sort of an internal compass. They're able to follow the stars, all these sorts of things we can guess at. But there must be barometric sort of ability in their body, because, when you're flying through a migration, you need to be able to avoid storms, because there's nothing like a storm, if you're a small little aircraft, to cause you some turbulence and throwing you off course in an enormous way. So I'm sure they have an ability to determine or pick up on storms. There must be some sensory feeling. I know I can tell when storms are coming. We can smell them, we can sort of see them. So if you really get in tune with it, you can probably feel it as well. And if your survival depends on avoiding the storm, if your survival depends on staying dry, then you will definitely make sure you do so. And so I've no doubt that they've got the ability to. How exactly it's done, I'm not sure. So we see the oxpeckers there, and as we know, they are insect eaters in the form of ticks, and they don't need to go anywhere. And we all know why, don't we? Well, they just have to follow the animals. Follow the animals around. There's their food, their hosts. They are producing their hosts all the time, or the hosts are producing the food for the oxpeckers constantly. So you can almost imagine that in places like the Mara, you'd get the birds, the oxpeckers, breeding in sort of certain areas close to water where the animals will come, and then as the herds migrate and the breeding is ended, they'll probably follow the herds around. Freddie, do they move in flocks? Well, definitely swallows do. Swallows seem to accumulate on power lines and on trees and sort of all those sort of things, and they all look, he's giving him the evil eye, and they face the general direction they're all going to head off in, and then they move like that. I've never really witnessed huge amounts of migration at the birds flying, but I'd love to go to Israel. I believe there across the strait they get hundreds of thousands of birds coming over, because it's the shortest sort of route from Europe and around into Africa. Not many birds fly straight over water. It's not easy to do. So you get birds that will island hop, or you'll get them covering the land, moving straight across the land, because the land produces thermals, it produces heat, which lifts them up. So in areas like that, I believe Israel has a huge difficulty with regards to birds due to their airports. As we know, birds can be quite impacting on planes, but I'd love to go there just to watch the birds coming north and south in their migratory routes. And they move in large groups. I can't say I've ever witnessed it though, but when the European rollers arrive and the Amur falcons arrive, they definitely arrive in groups. You see them flying in, but they all seem to be spaced out in the sky. Whether they met at some point and slowly made their way down is difficult to say. But definitely moving in groups. The birds will use certain currents. Some birds will come down the continent on one side and then up the other side due to the prevailing winds, prevailing currents, all those sort of things which assist. It's all about energy efficiency, and birds don't want to fly into the wind. They want to go with the least possible resistance. And if you have a Gulf Stream in one direction, well, you're going to have all the birds using the same sort of stream. And in that regard, that's got a lot to do with their ability to predict the weather as well, because it helps them in their it's the instruments, for example. Pilots, we use pilots in the bush here. They look at the windsocks on the ground before taking off or when landing, so as to see which direction the wind's flying or blowing, so as to make it easier to land or take off. So no doubt birds they're in the sky all the time, so they must be able to pick up on these things. And flying in a group, also helps with safety, because they are birds of prey that will stay around. And there are a number of birds of prey that do migrate, but there's a number that are actually just basically set upon the entire route just to prey off of birds as they move. The same as we find in the migration in the Greater Mara and Serengeti system, where you have the predators having their territories and they're just waiting for the migratory herds to move through. They're not necessarily following the herds, they're just waiting for them to enter into their territory, although they might move slightly in and around and expanding that territory for a period of time. So safety in numbers is always best. Almost like a traffic sort of air traffic control. Planes will often try and use a similar sort of stream to come in a direction, and I think all of these things are predictable with quite high-tech instruments. Just heard a zebra make a funny sound. I'm looking at them down there. They're pretty chilled though. Beverly, 20 or so, maybe 30. I've never really counted. Maybe you can get more than that. We'll count them. Every now and again we see them. There's 9 here now, all about the same sort of age. A nice sort of little bachelor herd of very similar aged boys, but then all of the yearling males, or the 2 yearling males, will all be sort of pushed out. You'll find them in probably larger groups, as it's all about safety really. It's not really about competition for themselves, whereas you only get so many impala of the older variety that reach a certain age. There's far more younger male impala that slowly get whittled down until eventually they reach maturity. So these groups of larger males are probably smaller than if we find a group of that sort of 1, 2 year, maybe 3 year impala rams that have been pushed out. You might find them in larger groups. But we'll keep counting. I've never really counted, but they don't get in the same sort of number as I've seen as you do with females. Probably smaller clusters in and around. Bearing in mind, the larger the group, the more competition there is for food. So if you put 200 impala boys together, it's just not very sort of beneficial from a feeding point of view. But the females seem to hang in much larger groups. Okay, well, we're going to drive down there and just catch up with the zebra in the drainage and see what caused them to make some noise. I'm going to send you over to Johan, see what he's up to.
Welcome back, guys. So we have just driven a bit further west onto the dune fields a bit from that last location of that gorgeous bird we had previously. So we're just trying to see if we can't pick up something on these cheetah that could possibly be in these dunes, as it's a very good time of the morning when there's still quite a bit of activity. Well, it's not too hot yet, quite surprisingly, because of this breeze coming through at the moment. As you can see, the grass is waving quite a lot. The breeze is in that formation. Oh, there's a yellow canary. Look at that. Yeah, he's unfortunately just flown off towards the edge of the bush there, just flown off behind the bush there. But yeah, anyways, as I was saying, the breeze at the moment coming through is literally just cooling down things so much that it's a very good time for these cats to be on top of these dune tops, as they could be scouting out looking for the last bit of the morning and trying to see with this pretty good light whatever's approaching the area that could potentially be hunting on as well. But yeah, in this position with that light breeze is making things a bit nice and cool. If this breeze weren't here, we would have been close to 30 degrees already again. as it warms up quite nicely, quite early in the morning in the Kalahari. But yeah, while we're driving through here, just such a beautiful, stunning area. Just seeing, oh, there's a sable antelope just coming through in front of us. As I was about to say, stunning area, driving through this beautiful, gorgeous region. And suddenly we get to come across a super rare antelope coming through. Let's just see if we can get a line up on that guy. But yes, he's disappearing so quickly in amongst the bushes here again as well. Yeah, we literally had him running across. Oh, there he goes at the back there. And gone he is. Yes, and talking about the wind again, I mean, I have mentioned it quite a lot over the last couple of days, talking about how wind stresses out these antelope, as it's quite a lot of surprising factors. We can try to reverse a bit there again, but it looks like that guy was quite on a bit of a mission. Yeah, it looks like we lost that guy, but yeah, so gorgeous to just have had that animal coming across the dune street in the front of us as we were driving. Awesome.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm here in Northern California.
This is an Anna's hummingbird. We love seeing him because he brings a little magic and energy to our cold, wintry backyard.
In the winter, they politely visit one at a time, but in the summer, they gorge themselves in groups to prepare for their long migration south. As the hummingbirds fly south, over 1 million of these Canadian geese travel the Pacific Flyway from the Arctic to spend the winter with us. They like wetlands and we're in a drought, but they seem pretty happy on the dry bank of Folsom Lake here. This has been a tough year everywhere. But one good thing was we found WildEarth, who encouraged us to relieve our stress through nature. There's a saying that
a distraction is momentary, an escape helps you heal.
Sometimes love wants to make you sing. And sometimes love wants to make you bow and fan your wings to your bow. For the southern yellow-billed hornbill, these are signs that love is in the air. These birds are destined for a season of monogamy at least. Breeding pairs are in it for the survival of their chicks. But before love commences, the male needs to woo his valentine with food in the form of nuptial gifts.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on WildEarth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is a call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Our faces while we're out here, which is always fun. See what you got there. On the other side of the drainage now is the crested barbet calls. There's our impala boys on the other side there. We wait for our zebra to come through. Don't forget, everybody, this afternoon the time change is half an hour earlier, and South African time is 3:30 p.m. Whatever time it is for you around the world, it's 30 minutes earlier, ending at the same time as before. And quite incredible how much hotter it is a little bit after 9. The sun is absolutely cooking right now that the clouds have cleared. That's probably what our zebras are doing. You know it's hot if the zebras are hiding in the shade. Lovely little drainage system here between Impala clearing and this road. Just going to listen a little bit Some of our birds calling. Tall trees signify my drainage system, deep alluvial soil, surface water not far from the surface, or groundwater not far from the surface. You can see a little puddle. Wonderful place for buffalo. Well, everybody, we hope you've had a wonderful morning. We do apologize for not being in signal for a lot of it, but we'll sort those technical issues out, and we'll see you again this afternoon. So have a wonderful day further. We look forward to hosting you again on our wonderful wild drives, live from the African wilderness, from all of our locations. We do bless you this day. Have a fabulous day further. Until later, goodbye.